Hello, hello, healing in the kingdom. How are you today? I pray everyone is having a wonderful, wonderful week. We have a wonderful treat for you today. I am so delighted to introduce to you in just a moment our very special guest, Susie Coldhurst, who is a friend and a colleague, and she has something that is going to be so helpful for many of you. I will introduce her fully in just a moment, but let me tell you, if you are a caregiver of somebody with any kind of challenging chronic condition, you need to be here. And if you know somebody who is in that position, go ahead and send them the link to this, either as the broadcast or the podcast, and get them invited in because they are going to get incredibly powerful, powerful healing strategies. All right. We think so much sometimes here at Healing in the Kingdom about healing for our own conditions, right? And then as caregivers in that role, we're thinking about ways that we can help other people heal. And then what do? We actually forget about our own healing. Okay. And it's so important. You need to be, the Lord wants you to be healed and whole so that you can fulfill your kingdom mission. So let me go ahead and introduce Susie. So Susie Coldhurst is a dementia strategist who empowers successful kingdom mompreneurs to get freedom from stress, insecurity, and fear surrounding dementia decisions while helping to keep their parents safe at home without breaking the bank or burning out in the process. So important. Susie has loved helping people her entire life. She is especially passionate about dignifying people who experience challenges communicating. In her career as a speech language pathologist, she found herself specializing in helping those struggling with dementia. After personally experiencing the weight of becoming her parents' primary caregiver, she realized that the culmination of all these circumstances was where she wanted to bring value to others. After nearly 15 years practicing traditional speech therapy, she realized that speech therapy was only a piece of the healing puzzle. In her own journey, she incorporated the modalities of speech therapy, neuroscience, kingdom identity and revelation, inner healing, mentorship, and coaching. Wow, sounds amazing, Susie. God revealed to her how all of these beautiful pieces fit together, and that became the framework for her signature confident dementia decisions formula. Caregiving was never meant to be toxic to the other areas of your life, and you were never meant to walk this journey alone, carrying all the weight of caring for your parents while in a tug of war between meeting the needs of your family and maintaining profitability in your business. But we've been taught to feel guilty and selfish if we honor our own needs, refusing to lose ourselves and becoming a martyr. And that the only way to honor your parents is to provide the care yourself. So her mission is to start a revolution to change caregiving culture, to operate in community, unifying families in their approach to helping their loved one, reassuring them that they are making the right decisions for their loved one without having to give up their life and sacrifice themselves, their family, or their career. She is all about ditching the stress and making decisions from God's wisdom and peace. His intention was for us always about caregiving from honor and overflow, not from worry and fear. Okay, well, let me go ahead and bring up Susie. We are so delighted to have you here, Susie. Welcome to Healing in the Kingdom.
I'm so honored to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is such an important role that you have here. I love your background and experience. Obviously, we connect being in the medical field for so many years in slightly different areas, of course, but still in that medical field. And that, Lord knows, brings enough of stress of its own, in its own way, right? And then as you translate that to moving into caregiving full time, that's a whole new type of stress, right? So would you give us any additional background information about maybe how did you make that transition? I love hearing this story about, you were actively a speech language pathologist and what made you say, like, I got to figure this out. If you could share a little bit about that, it'd be great.
Well, I joined the Kingdom Entrepreneur Group that, we're both a part of. And I didn't think that I was an entrepreneur and at all. God tricked me to tell me to join that group and told me I was just joining it to, well, I had to think I was just joining it to help my husband. And then I found out that I just had this huge entrepreneurial spirit. And when I got an opportunity opportunity to become a certified coach, I just felt so drawn to that, So I became a certified business coach, and kind of they also have frameworks for the inner game and the outer game, both. And then I also became certified as I found another program through that program, a connection through that program, just like my connection with you was through that program. I found another connection and was able to get training as a neuroscience life coach, and that like pulled it all together for me, like because as a speech therapist, I had pretty extensive training in helping people rewire their brains after due to a disorder or a disease or a developmental disorder or whatever it was. I've worked from with children all the way up to adults, and that neuroscience coaching aspect just sort of combined it all for me. And I realized, like, I had never even thought of it, but I realized that I could help the caregivers in a way that I didn't know I could before. So, and then I actually talked to some of my people that I had helped, and I found out what I had done for them at that time without even trying was what I'm doing for people now. They said that I gave them the confidence in the making the decisions about what their loved one is capable of, or what their loved one could do, and just help them walk through that process. And I thought I was teaching them all the technical things about the dementia staging and all of these other things, and I didn't know that I actually carried that then. So I saw the need. I was in people's homes, primarily in the home health setting. So I went in and out of people's homes as a speech therapist, and you just see the agony and the anxiety, and they just need a support system. They need to know that they have someone to walk them through this process as their loved one changes, and as things progress. They need to be able to still have some hope. And I actually fought doing this for a while. I knew it was something that I could do, and I'm like, I didn't know if I wanted to, because a core value of mine is hope. And it's really, you get a diagnosis of dementia and you're like, well, where's the hope? And I felt like that was something that the Lord gave me revelation that I actually could carry and bring hope and help them redefine, what does hope look like, what does peace look like. And maybe it's just in having a good day today, and being present and enjoying your loved one, and letting your light that you carry, that God has put inside you, change the atmosphere for your loved one, even though we can't necessarily, we can't reason with them
Right.
about that,
Right.
but we actually do carry something.
Yeah, that's so good, Susie. So many pearls in here. Oh my goodness. I know I remember you and I having a conversation, gosh, a few months ago, and I remember talking about the specific area of hope. You said, got to add hope to this. This cannot be a hopeless situation. And I want to encourage our listeners, because sometimes when we feel a nudge from the Lord to move forward in an area and it doesn't quite feel in alignment, folks, it's not about saying, okay, well, I'm just going to do it anyway, just because God said. It's about searching and asking for what is the alignment, and where is the alignment? Because I can promise you, just like with you, Susie, there's always alignment, right? There is always alignment. And sometimes in our frame of reference, right, the kingdom's all about breaking us free from our frame of reference, right? But sometimes we think, oh, that sounds exhausting or discouraging or disparaging, right? But look, think about who the king is. He's good. He is a good father, right? And he wants you to have hope. He is the God of hope, right? Romans 15:13 talks about that too, right? All through the scriptures. And so I think it's important, folks, to, if you're feeling led by God to do something, but it's not quite sitting, probe and ask questions. God is not going to be mad at you, right? He's not going to say, oh, you can't ask that question, just do what I told you to do. That's not who he is, right? He's a loving father. If you don't know him like that, go get in our program called The Anchor, and we'll help you with that part of it. Okay. But Susie, so tell me a little bit about your own story with taking care of an elderly. You have your own story, right, of taking care of an elderly person?
Yes,
Okay.
my parents did not have dementia per se,
Hmm.
but I was their, primary. I wasn't their day-to-day primary caregiver, but after my mom passed, and then as my dad was on hospice and passing, then I was his POA, power of attorney.
Hmm.
And so I was his medical decision maker, and I was advocating for him to get the care that he needed. I did not have him in my home. He was actually independent in his home until the last few months when he needed a little bit more medical support. So he was in a facility. But um, just knowing the responsibility and the weight just that carried, let alone the additional responsibility and weight that I saw when I was in people's homes when dementia was involved. Just I feel like that gave me the compassion
Hmm.
that I need
Yeah.
to help help the caregivers.
Yeah, that's I found that the Lord does he uses everything, right? Of course, he's not causing any pain and suffering in this earth, right? That's a
Right.
lie from the enemy, but he does use everything, and your heart and understanding from a personal level has got to have really added so much to your ability to understand where folks are coming from, and even to go back and remember, being in that situation where, maybe you had some help. A lot of people don't have any help at all, right? And they feel like that has to be the way it is. So I'd love for you to start. Let's start by giving people some hope early on in this interview. So tell me something. Let's dive into maybe one thing that can give caregivers hope when maybe they felt like they're all alone. What can you share with our audience?
You're not alone. You're not alone. And you also don't have to give up all of the things that you love,
Yes.
because that having joy and finding joy, the joy of the Lord is your strength. So finding that joy on a daily basis, even though you're in the midst of a situation that is seemingly hopeless, it's seemingly joyless, God is bigger than that situation, and he is the source of your joy and your strength and your stability and your peace, and you can still find that, but it is very important to have self-care and know what you love and not lose sight of what you love and what brings you joy, so that you can bring that into your life daily, and also make sure that you have those built-in breaks. You know, I think there needs to be regular um, just respite breaks, but then also daily breaks if you need to hire a caregiver to come in 1 hour a day so that you can still do the things that you enjoy. That is just so important, because they say on the airplane, if you don't put your oxygen mask on first, then you
Right.
can't help them with theirs, and you are in this for the long haul, and in order to do that you have to hang on to the things that give you joy.
Yeah, I love that. I think joy, we don't think of joy as a strategy, but it's an amazing strategy, right? It really is. And, the Lord, I think, shows us a lot of times, as I look back even over my own life, sometimes in the midst of what is like the greatest turmoil from the outside looking in, and people are like, how are you even out of bed, right? And God shows you his joy, and he infuses you with his joy even in the midst of chaos and turmoil and
Mm,
struggle around us. But it helps us to have that kingdom focus, right? Because if we look at things the way the world look at things, you wouldn't have any hope in this situation at all.
no.
But we have the eyes of the kingdom, right? We have the mind of Christ. That's what the scriptures tell us. So I love that joy as a strategy. It is an amazing strategy, and certainly one that we can begin to tap into right away, folks. Today, you can tap into that joy, right? And
Right.
our God is a good father, right? And he says, ask, right? Ask and you will be given, right? And so you can ask for wisdom strategies related to joy as well, right? And
Mhm.
he's a generous God and he will give it to you. So
Mhm.
I know that I know you have a lot of coaching and mentoring, which I think is so, so important, Susie, because I heard you say, well, you don't have to do everything alone. You can hire somebody, but I'm sure you get a lot of people that say, I can't afford to hire anybody. I can't do this. So, without obviously sharing everything you're going to share in your challenge, how can that challenge help people to understand where they can get access to funds? Can we talk about it like from that standpoint though?
Right. Well, I mean, obviously, I don't tell them how they can, I'm not in your own finances to
Sure.
know, your specifics, but I teach to look at what is in your hand.
Mhm.
I also do offer something, beyond the challenge where I will bring the other family members and you together to to get a team approach into helping your loved ones so that yes, you may be the primary caregiver and the day-to-day caregiver, but it's a team approach, and that's so important with the other family members. Maybe another family member has a resource that can help you, or maybe they can be scheduled to come in, not waiting till crisis happens and you're like, I'm done and I want to quit, but regularly scheduling another family member to come in. But then you can also look at things like what is in your hand. What if your loved one owns their own home?
Mhm.
And that is what is a resource that can be tapped into. There's options for, well, what if you offer a caregiver a room in the home? They need a place to live, and you need a caregiver so they could come and live there in return for some caregiving. Obviously, not 24/7 caregiving for one person. No one person can do that. But let's look at what is in your hand and look at the resources that you do have. Sometimes even the home can even be used as an assisted living. Like you can bring other people into that home that need the care that your loved one needs. Like they need the nursing, so they come in to your home. You provide, or to your loved one's home. You, they get a loving kingdom atmosphere when they come into that home because I teach how to create that,
That's
and
wonderful.
then we're thinking outside the box here, but they are the ones paying for the care that your loved one needs
So
because you're using your loved one's home to provide them a place. Then they pay for the care, and your loved one, instead of having to um and people don't realize this is possible, but a lot of times people are like, oh my gosh, I got to sell this house so that my loved one can go to a facility.
mhm,
And that's only going to get them 5 to 10 years. The
right.
house sale money is only going to last 5 or 10 years.
Mhm.
Or if I pay for a full-time caregiver, it's going to be like 60,000 $60,000 a year. And I only have enough, the loved one only has enough money for X number of years of that. But if they own their own home and this can be something that can be done, then this would provide for them as long as they're alive. They would be able to stay in that home for as long as they're alive, unless there was outstanding medical conditions that required some sort of level of care, medical care that wasn't available in the home. But
Yeah, yeah, I think that's so important, and I love the idea of bringing someone else in too that needs
Mhm.
care because that then we're activating what? Oxytocin in the brain, right? Which is a wonderful chemical. It actually helps you heal in addition to helping you bond with
Right,
other folks. So that is beautiful. Well, I know there's
exactly.
a lot more strategies, but
That's
I'll
just
leave
one
that.
of the strategies that is possible that people don't really realize.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I want to pick up on something that you mentioned because I've dealt with a lot of, I have a pretty big extended family, let me say it like that. And there are some situations where maybe the siblings don't get along with each other. And then so, it falls on one person to take care of the aging parent. And then that sibling doesn't either want to ask for help of the other people, or, you know, I don't know. It can just be complicated. So what would you, I'm just going to leave that a little bit open-ended. What do you have to share about that?
Right. That is very difficult, and you can't always get the family unified. Like, I do attempt that, but it's not always possible to get the family unified. If you can't get that, then sometimes the hired just hiring a caregiver to come in. There are sometimes resources where if they were a veteran, the VA will pay for some of that. You can get connected with there are sometimes community resources for getting someone to come in and take some of that weight off of you if your family isn't going to take some of that weight off of you. But it just depends on the individual situation, and there's no set thing. But I don't ever want someone to stop at, well, I have no other options.
Yes.
'Cause that's going to just blow up. We want to strategize before you're in a crisis situation.
I agree with that. I think that is so important because when you're in a crisis, man, your brain's not thinking clearly,
Right.
right? It's in
Right.
survival mode for you,
Mhm.
and that is not
Right.
helpful for everyone involved.
Right.
I've found too that sometimes reaching out for help, you might get a different answer than what you expect too.
Yes.
So
Yes.
sometimes that can happen, not always, but
Yes.
sometimes that can happen. I think we get fixed in our mind of, oh yeah, but there was this argument, and
Right.
there's been this tough situation for years and years. But people's heart, especially for a parent, there's a lot of compassion there, even if it was a strained parent-child relationship, right? And in those
Right.
situations, there's usually a solution, right? But we have to get into what I call this creativity mindset, right? When we
Mhm.
unlock the creativity mindset, which is one you can't get into if you're afraid, right? If you're overly stressed out or burned
Right.
out, you can't get into it. But if you can relax and take those rest points, like you mentioned, right? And even finding ways to do that for a short period of time, the Lord will reveal these amazing strategies that, just like with you. I mean, I love the combination of all the different things you use between neuroscience and kingdom approach, and then, mentorship, inner healing, and coaching. And I think those are, that is clearly divine, right? That's like God cherry picking things out of the heavens, right? And putting them together in such an amazing way. This is where you get this wisdom and these kinds of strategies, folks. So, but you've got to get your brain chemicals and electrical activity in your brain in a state where that can be unlocked. Okay. So, Susie, I want you to please share with us, how do people get connected with you for your upcoming challenge? What are the dates? What can they expect from it? I'll just let you share a little bit about that now, if you'd like.
Right. Okay. So the website is the confidentdementiadecisions.com. And you go there to sign up, and that'll bring you into Facebook group. And that is the Facebook group is where I will have that. It starts October 24th, Monday, October 24th. It's going to be a 3-day challenge, and there may be a couple bonus trainings after that. But it will be 3 days, just like 1 hour a day. It's not like you as a caregiver don't have all day to attend a workshop. And I know that it's just going to be, an hour a day for 3 days, and I'm going to be helping you to um, to get confident that you are making the right decisions, and that there are options, that you do have options. Of course, the individual options in your situation we explore outside of the challenge if you decide to go further with me, but there are options. I'm going to give you hope that there are options during this challenge. I'm going to help you know that you're not alone in this during the challenge. I will be providing the community, the Facebook group that you're in during the challenge. You will be connected with other people that are in similar situations, which helps to know that you're not alone, you know, and that family community is super, super important when your own sometimes your own family doesn't understand what you're going through as a caregiver on a daily basis. So it's important to be in a community of people that do understand. Um, and then can help you rise above the immediate stress so that you can see the solutions and see the hope. So I will be helping with that. I will be helping with just knowing that you can make these decisions without the insecurity and fear and agonizing, laying awake at night. Did I make that right decision? So I just want to help you honor your parents. I want to help you keep your parents safe at home, you know, and I will be teaching strategies in that challenge for helping you to keep your parent safe at home and just know that you're in this for them. You're in this to make you're not going to regret. You're not going to regret that I didn't do enough.
Yeah, I think that's so important. Well, I'm excited about this. And I think, and we've got some comments coming through already that people know people or they themselves are in this situation and can really benefit from it. And I love the community aspect too, because as I think about, traditional quote unquote support groups, right? Like a lot of times there's a bunch of people and they've got a shared problem, but nobody's moving forward. But in your community, it's not like that, right? People are moving forward. So there's going to be people that have, made this transition to be able to enter into joy during caregiving, right? And to get some support. So, folks, you're going to be, by joining in Susie's challenge and then in her community, you're going to have hope just by joining, right? Because you're going to see what it looks like on the other side. And so I strongly encourage you to go get signed up. You've got a little bit of time. Is it ready for them to sign up if they want to sign up today? Or?
There is a website
Okay.
that where you can sign up, and then there is a Facebook group
Okay.
open. I'm still tweaking a few things, of course, because I have time, but there is something that is there that
Okay.
is possible. There is also, like, if they just need to get in touch with me, if they
Yes.
have questions, they're not sure. I do have a phone number that you can text dementia to at
Okay.
972 478 1638.
Okay, we will get that up, 972-478-1638, and they just need to text dementia to that,
Yes,
and they
text
can get
dementia to that
connected.
phone number, and
Yeah.
that will take them directly to me if they have questions or they're not sure about joining or, you know, whatever else.
Okay, perfect. Well, that sounds wonderful. Well, I'm so excited that you're sharing this. I think this is such an important aspect of healing that we don't think about a lot of times. And so we love bringing that and we love bringing you into our community to share about this, Susie. Any last minute words or thoughts that you'd like to leave with our audience before we wrap up today?
I'm planning on starting just in that Facebook group. I'm also planning on just starting a prayer time for caregivers to get together and pray.
Wonderful.
So I don't have that on the schedule specifically yet, but if you just get in there or text me, then I can let you know when that's going to be.
That's beautiful. What so many layers of support, Susie. You've just been so generous. Thank you so much for your time today and sharing all these wisdom tips. I mean, you've given folks a lot already. Can you imagine, folks, she's giving you, what she's going to give in that challenge? So go get signed up for that. Share that with those that you know so that they can come on in and get the support and help that the Lord wants them to have too, and we want them to have. So well, thank you, Susie, again, so much for being here. We just bless you as you go today, and we'll get all your links together. And then your podcast episode will be released soon, too. So we will have everything in the show notes as well. So, everyone at Healing in the Kingdom, thank you for being here. You can share this. This is on our Healing in the Kingdom Facebook page, which is public. It's in the private group. So, if you know somebody in the group, you can tag them there, but you can share from the page. And it's also streaming to our YouTube channel. So you can share a couple ways publicly with other folks that may not be within our community here. Okay. All right. Well, thanks again, everyone. We will talk to you soon. Take care.
Thank you.